Babae lang ako.
Kaya huwag niyong sabihin.
Kaya kong pumantay o humigit sa mga lalaki.
Matadhana akong maging nasa ibaba.
Hindi totoong babae ang mas malakas ang kasarian.
Siya na mismo ang humusga.
Babae lang ako.
Panahon na para baliktarin natin.
Babae lang ako.
Siya na mismo ang humusga.
Babae ang mas malakas na kasarian.
Hindi totoong matadhana akong maging nasa ibaba.
Kaya kong pumantay o humigit sa mga lalaki.
Kaya huwag niyong sabihin.
Babae lang ako.
Maayong udto Sugbo, maayong udto Pilipinas. Kini ang Beyond the Headlines, di natong iyagyag ug ibisto ang mga abuso.
Atong tabangan aron mga problema mas solusyonan.
Ug labaw sa tanan, atong ipalanog ang tingog sa komunidad. Adlaw karon nga Domingo, Marso 10, 2024, ako si Dudong Moralio.
Ug ako si Mildred Galarpe, maayong pagpaniudto ninyo. Early di ay.
Yes.
Pero sa di pa mo maniudto, kauban na to karon ang waylain si Senator Imee Marcos nga gikan pa sa Gimaras.
So.
Ug sa laing and also other kalimot mi da na di Bisaya ang atong bisita. Other parts of the Visayas, Senator Imee Marcos just came from Gimaras,
Iloilo, Negros.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a special episode of Beyond the Headlines. So tomorrow, this is, you know that it's Monday to Friday, but maybe tomorrow you can play some of the portions of
For
this.
those who did not make it today, we'll replay some of a part of the interview tomorrow. But Friday was Women's Month.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. It's International Women's Day.
Yes.
And congratulations to all the women. Yeah, still there. Still standing. Pero alam natin, maraming pang trabaho. There's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of catch up, despite the fact that we're very proud of Filipinas being the best of all Filipinos. I think one of the colonials said that.
Yes.
Pinakamagaling daw na Pilipino ay Pilipina.
Diba?
Pero there's a lot of catch up to do, and I'm deeply concerned about the young Filipinas, because there's a burgeoning statistic on teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
Teenage pregnancy not only takes a toll on the health of the mom and the baby, but worse yet, really crushes in many cases the opportunities and the future of the mom, because hindi na nakakapagtapos mag-aral. Yan ang problema. So I enjoin them, no matter what happens, finish school. And the schools also, on the other hand, should perhaps be more visionary, in the sense that they should understand that they should allow them to come to school. Marami kasi pinagbabawal pag buntis. Yan ang problema. Pero kung kaya pa, dapat tuloy-tuloy para makapagtapos, and thereafter to go to work. Work also is a similar issue. We just signed an ILO arrangement which recognizes something called the world of work. It used to be workplace lang. Yung trabaho lang sa opisina. But now the world of work, because we have so many working from home, digital, there are so many who work on a project basis. There are so many who work only part-time. So all these modes are really covered. And we have to recognize that women continue to be far, far behind in the world of work in terms of pay and opportunity. Pay, because although many women work, a lot of them have clerical or domestic jobs that pay very poorly. And yet, there are so many solo parents or single mommies. And yung single moms, we used to think of women's work as something supplementary to the main household income. But in many cases, like the solo families that we've spoken about, they're the single source of income. So we need to help these mommies ASAP.
Talking of women, there's I remember there's a safe space law.
Yes, that's right.
But apparently it's not much.
Well, it's hardly recognized. I think a lot of our crimes against chastity, our sexual harassment, and other laws are so badly implemented. Perhaps one of the reasons, and one of my advocacies has been there are so few police women. the women's desk in so many of the police stations is so poorly manned and so poorly funded. So girls who are molested, for example, they're too embarrassed, diba, to talk to the policemen.
Yes.
And they're looking for a more motherly female figure to disclose their problems too. So yun ang problema. Isa yun sa mga maraming problema natin. Konti pati ng medico legal. I think there are very few that are accredited, the doctors and so
I think
on.
there's that also yung ano ng system or yung kultura ng Pilipino.
Well, inevitably,
Yes.
inevitably.
Yes.
So it's we are very shy about this sort of thing, and we almost think that women were actually BTS, born to suffer. So you just put up with it.
I love that.
And,
BTS.
Yeah. So yeah.
Of course not,
That's the
though.
lousy BTS.
Yes, that's the lousy one.
So yeah, that's the problem. So we need to make it easier and simpler, so that it's not a font of humiliation and embarrassment and so on. Para mapilit sila to start talking about what they go through. I think, unfortunately, in a patriarchal society, there's much more female oppression than we actually accept.
But do you think with the number of women senators, parang meron din siyang ano ba na
Well, there's 6 of us.
Yes.
There's 6 of us right now. So
when that space is supposed to be dominated by men.
well, it's still dominated
By men, I know.
It's only we're only a quarter. And
By the way, Senator, what's your
we're
chairmanship
6 out of 24.
6 out of
right?
24.
in the Senate? What's your committee?
I have so many committees. I'm the one with the most committees yata. Foreign relations.
More work.
Elections,
Oh.
electoral reform and people's participation, which has become quite controversial.
Yes.
Social justice, which is another one that's become controversial. And fourthly, the cooperatives,
Yes.
which has fallen by the wayside. Sadly, we haven't had too much investment or emphasis on co-ops. Sayang nga eh. We should really help the co-ops.
Yes,
Because,
yes, of course.
It's the big source of countryside investment and rural development. Sana.
Yes.
Pero medyo bitin ang development sa ngayon.
Okay. Since you're the one in charge, your committee is one of the yung electoral reforms. Do you think the plebiscite will ma-include ba siya this coming 2025
So you're talking about
elections?
the charter change?
Yes.
To change. Well, it depends what form they'll take. No, we know 3 ways of changing the constitution: the
Yes.
con, which we
Yes.
know very well, and the con-as, the Constituent
Yes.
Assembly. The problem is that they forged ahead with the PI, or the People's
Initiative.
Yes.
Initiative. The problem with the People's Initiative is that time and again the Supreme Court has said that we don't have a law that gives us the process for the People's Initiative. We need a law because the laws that we have at present are inadequate. They don't say kung paano talaga gagawin. And definitely itong ginawa na nangongolekta ng signature, ng susuhol, binibigyan ng ayuda, tapos tinatakpan yung papel. All of that is definitely not it. So we need to do it properly. I'm not against any of this, except that we need to do it in accordance with law. Right now, there's no law. So that's our problem with the PI,
Yes.
that we need to produce a law first. And they're imposing some kind of an October deadline
Yes.
with the Comelec, which I understand because syempre, the mechanics of actually printing the ballots, of
Yes.
getting them out is a major production. Pero, hindi ko alam kung ano talaga ang sistema. Kasi medyo naguguluhan ako, plebiscite ba yun? Or People's Initiative, magiging con ba? Con-as? Magulo pa eh, parang kanya-kanyang idea. Iba kasi yung setup na sinasabi sa Congress, pero at the same time, sinabi na ng Pangulo na ang Senate will lead. And the Senate, at this point, is just conducting hearings on the economic provisions. And unfortunately, there's a huge disconnect between the Senate's understanding and some of the congressmen and the speakers. So that's become the problem.
So your thoughts about the October deadline? Do you think And
feasible?
feasible.
I'm not sure at this point. I'm not really certain because I'm not really clear what we're talking about still. We have a resolution 6 in the Senate. There's a resolution 7 that's been passed in the House. They're exactly the same.
Same.
The only difference is that in the Senate it says voting separately. And in the congressional version, wala silang linagay, which bothers a lot of us, including a lot of legal luminaries, including the framers of the Constitution. Kasi, paano naman yun? 24 lang kami, 300 plus sila. Tapos
Yes,
pantay-pantay yung boto, malulunod na kami yun.
Yes.
Malulubos totally, 24 lang.
Yes, oo.
So that's the bone of contention and exactly how it will be conducted. As I said, wala kasing batas.
Yes.
Yun ang problema, medyo magulo.
By January, supposedly will print the ballots na. Supposedly.
Well, that's what they said. Actually,
Yes.
I'm actually in the process of calling for a hearing or at least a consultation with the Comelec kasi paiba-iba rin ang kanilang sinabi, which I cannot blame them dahil iba-iba rin yung instruction. So, sabi nila, it has to be by October. And I know they're very busy because next 2025, next year, there are 2 elections, which are completely different. You have the May national election, the usual election,
Yes.
which will be automated. And then we also have in December, a manual barangay election, which is another magulo, no? So, ang sinasabi, dadagdag na lang daw yung plebiscite question doon sa May election. And that's where it gets confusing because you have to print all those ballots. And some of the ballots have been very, very long. If you recall, there are sometimes several dozen party lists.
Yes.
Kaya ang haba-haba ng
Yes,
balota.
yes. I remember that. Oo.
And if you add pa another,
plebiscite.
we have to do it early. Naintindihan ko naman sila. It's a big confusion talaga.
Oo.
But definitely it will be automated. So on
Well,
Monday,
automated
Yeah.
will be May.
May.
Yeah.
Kung
But the
naabot sa
barangay
May.
is always manual.
so on Monday they will sign with the Meru systems
Oh,
with the
that's
Korean.
another setup. Yeah, there was a single bidder. Apparently,
Yes,
they have to
yeah.
explain that as well. Why that happened? Because I recall that they were the same group. There are also a lot of questions why the Korean company Meru is in partnership with the Filipino construction company St.
Yes.
Timothy. Ano mang connection ng construction?
Yeah, anong
Bakit
capacity?
kontratista hindi IT?
Yes.
Di ba
Yes.
pag sinabi automated, yung nasa
IT.
isip natin,
Yeah,
dapat
the capacity
IT
of
expert.
the Filipino partner.
But bakit naging construction
Yun nga
company?
din, di ba?
But they're about
Baka
to sign
makukonstruct
tomorrow. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
according to the, of course, for Comelec, they will probably sign
that's
tomorrow.
right. We're all a little bit mystified by this setup. Once again, it's all new to us because this is a brand new company that's never conducted any Filipino elections.
Yes.
And there are some derogatory remarks in their track record. No? There's some derogatory reports. And their track record is not entirely successful. So tignan natin. Kasi the Comelec themselves, earlier on in the first round of bidding, said that Miru was not ideal. And now they're awarding it to Miru. So, well, I guess they got stuck with them lang.
Yes, parang nagiging even the Comelec confusa system, what will happen on May, whether the plebiscite.
We're all a little nervous because
Yes.
it's all new. But I think it came also from the public outrage with the single operator of Filipino elections, which is Smartmatic.
Yes.
Na ang nangyari is the worst thing that can happen to any election and people just don't believe na. Smart
Yes.
magic.
Yes.
Ayun.
So parang napilitan sila maghanap ng iba kasi na-disqualify yung Smartmatic and now we're stuck with these new guys. I'm not sure. Sometimes they say the devil you know is better than the one you don't. But ideally, we don't have to deal with devils.
So what will happen tomorrow? There will be a Senate something move to...
Oh, not yet tomorrow. It'll take a while. Yeah,
because
I have to
they
call-
mentioned that they will sign an agreement with Meru.
Yeah, I read it in the paper. I have no awareness of the details. But yeah, we'll have to ask them. Ano ba talaga yun?
Yes.
It's a bit of a confusion.
Okay.
Anyway,
From elections punta tayo dun sa yung mga OFWs natin, yung seafarers natin.
Right. The Houthi.
Yes.
The Houthi victims, yes, 2 seafarers whose remains have not yet been brought home because there's constant attacks in the Red Sea.
Yes.
Kawawa naman mga Pilipino,
Pilipino.
naghahanap buhay lang. Wala naman tayong pakialam
Pakialam
dyan
sa
sa
Yeah.
Israeli and
Yes.
Palestine. We're not really involved in that, and yet nadadamay itong ating mga seamen. Malaking problema talaga yan kasi maliban dun sa 2 namatay,
Meron
we also have 3 severely injured. There are 10 who also got hurt on the same boat. And then there's probably another 24 who are still hostages. Bihag sila nung pa eh.
Yes.
Bago ma-attack yung mga barko ng dahas at ng baril, talagang binihag na sila. They were taken as hostages noong pa. So we should, with the DMW, the new Department of
Yes,
Migrant
Workers.
Workers and the DFA, exploit all our contacts with the Houthis and with their funders, the Iranian government. Wala naman tayong kaaway. Wag naman
Yes.
idamay yung Pilipino.
Damay lang
Kawawa
tayo
naman.
doon.
Yes.
I think the seamen, Filipino seamen, are very highly regarded. But there's been a controversial Seafarers Act, which probably affects the Visayas more than any other area in the Philippines, because Ilonggo seafarers, for one, Waray seafarers, and I've no doubt Cebuano seafarers are going to be affected, are going to be impacted. During my dad's time, we were number 1 in the world.
Yes.
The most seafarers were actually Filipino.
Yes.
And they become better and better. They're not, hindi lang sila tripulante or simpleng seaman. Kundi marami sa kanila naging kapitan na,
Yes.
they became
Yes.
third mate. They have very, very high ranks. The problem is we've become less and less competitive. And now from number 1 in the world, we're number 5. And one of the main reasons is that a lot of the ship owners are scared of hiring Filipinos because of the ambulance chasing lawyers. Apparently, we have a reputation for lawyers who sue ship owners and employers for any reason, extorting huge sums. So yun ang problema. Tatakot sila sa Pilipino ngayon dahil nga konting galos o kung ano-anong excuse, yung pala gusto lang magpalit ng barko, hahanapin na itong mga abogado, and these ambulance chasers will shake down the ship owner for exorbitant amount of money and take them to court. So this has been the problem, this unpleasant situation. And apparently, in many cases, it's aided and abetted pa daw by the NLRC and the DOLE. There are government employees who are also part of the entire syndicate. So nasisira yung pangalan natin.
Yes.
So we embarked on this Seafarers Act, but a lot of operators of domestic shipping, RoRo, and so on, have complained that the standards are too high. There are ILO standards being imposed on domestic shipping. I think at no point did we intend to include domestic shipping or fishing vessels.
Yes.
There's a misunderstanding, and we will be rewriting certain provisions to make it more precise. Pero hindi naman talaga pwede maglagay ng CR sa bangka. I mean, that's common sense. Some of the islands, bangka-bangka lang naman.
Bangka lang.
Mga maliliit na...
I'm island, so going to...
we're just using really small tugboats and little battels and so on. So it's really, there's really no intention to put a dorm, for example, in any of these little boats. Pero maybe there's a misunderstanding that the global ILO standards will also be imposed on the little
domestic
boats. Hindi naman talaga.
Yeah. But is there a ongoing...
Yes, there's ongoing negotiation with regard to the language. Language na lang so that we can tighten the requirements so that at least naman makapagpahinga sa deck,
Yes.
for example.
Yes.
At saka at least naman may CR na malapit-lapit
Fit.
kasi sometimes these guys have to work for hours on end. It's entirely unreasonable naman. Pero yun nga, it will still be the Filipino labor code that will apply. It will still be the Department of Labor that will
Arbiter,
assume
jurisdiction.
It's not going to be the ILO or any of these fancy global standards. Kaya wag sila matakot. Pero I think a lot of Cebuano groups thought that this was the case. So we are going to be rewriting with very, very precise language.
But it also very good that we would also upgrade our industry,
Yun na nga, yun na nga.
and we will erase the notion of a floating coffin.
Yes, because there are too many accidents
Yes,
already
of
that
course.
have occurred,
Yeah,
and so many of our seamen are really exploited.
Yeah.
Kawawa naman.
Yes.
So, dapat mag-level up. Even on domestic shipping, and we have to be far stricter. We've had so many accidents on board.
So many lives.
So many lives
That's
already
lost,
have
yes.
been lost.
I can relate because I'm from Mindanao, so
Right,
I always
right.
go home
With the
take-
boat,
with the
yeah.
boat, with the
Correct.
roro. So
That's
I when I'm studying here, I saw the development of the
Yun na nga.
shipping
How they
also.
overload everything,
Yes,
and then the roros are so primitive, the tugboats are
Yes,
inadequate.
but at present, it's okay. There's
It's
really
improving.
improving.
I
Yes,
find
it's
improved
improving.
vastly.
But you want more, no?
Of course,
Improvement.
we want more improvement and
Yeah.
better prices.
Yeah, we-
Diba?
yeah,
That's
Better
always,
at the end of
what we
at the end of the day, it's
Oo.
the passengers who will benefit from
Oo.
these improvements.
Yes, that's correct. It's the
Yes.
passengers, but of course,
Safety,
the
of
crew
course, number
can't
one.
provide safety or good service without taking care of themselves first. And
Yes.
sometimes
Oo.
they're
Yes.
really truly exploited. Yun nga, so to strike a balance between raising the labor standards and at the same time making sure that we put a stop to this nasty reputation of ambulance chasers,
Yes.
yung mga abogado na talagang rinereklamo ng
It's
mga
first time I heard that
international-
chasers.
Chasers.
Ambulance chasing is a common term in the legal profession
Yeah.
when they really take advantage of a miserable situation. So
The lawyers are Filipinos.
yeah, Filipino lawyers have been well known, and then kasabwat nila yung mga dole.
So, hindi lang, it's not
Kaya,
just the other industries, kahit pala in
Within
ganun.
Dole and LRC, sinasabi nila na may mga sindikato tapos kawawa yung ship owner. So nobody wants to hire Filipinos. Well, that's not quite right, but a lot of ship owners and companies that would really like the Filipinos cut down a lot because they had bad experiences and had to cough up large sums, which to their mind was not fair or not justified.
Anyway.
So we're talking about seas. So
Diretso na tayo sa
West-
tubig.
Tubig.
Ay, sa tubig. Nag-declare na ng pag-asa, may strong El Nino. So, how is government preparing for this?
Yeah. Well, El Nino. Cebu is actually way ahead of the curve because you've had water issues for a long, long time, and local governments have been struggling with this
Yes.
problem to the best of their ability. I understand the city has someone managed to cope, but given the situation with so many water districts, it's a little more difficult in the different towns. So, right now, even before El Nino, problema na natin yan. Sa Ilocos, problema rin.
Especially
Even
Cebu.
before El Nino and Cebu, of course, with its vast population. Kaya lang, mas malala na ngayon. Nag-worse na talaga with the El Nino. So, a lot of the water districts, for example, have been raising rates. We know they've been raising rates, and yet there's no water flowing. There's absolutely no water coming out, but you're paying more for nothing. So, it enrages a lot of the consumers. And I think that it's time for us in the Senate to start looking once again at the systemic issue, which is that I think the last time I counted, there were 43 water agencies, not to count all the water districts. Ang dami nila eh. There's a DAR. In Department of Agriculture, there's the Bureau of Soils and Water Management. The Riverine Management is with DNR. The flood control is with DPWH.
The LOA.
And then there's
NIA,
LUA,
yeah,
there's irrigation under agriculture also. There's NAWASA, MWSS, then there are all the hundreds of water districts. Ang gulo talaga eh. Kaya't I have a bill actually for a national agency na once and for all, put it all together, and isa lang magmamando, or at least they should complement and assist each other. They should dovetail. But so far, it hasn't moved much. I think the president has also not only Bongbong, the president, but I think even previous presidents have called on called for the creation of a Department of Water para matapos na once and for all. Kasi, despite the fact that Cebu and Ilocos have been struggling with this problem for several years now, I think we will still have to confront this, and it will continue to be the challenge in the next couple of decades. Kasi talagang wala ng tubig eh. It's a real problem.
Not just about the supply, but also the management level.
Yes, that's
because
correct.
we have a problem here in Cebu.
We have a unique problem in
Unique,
Cebu.
very unique.
Our water district have 2 boards.
Chairman.
Bakit?
It's like this.
How did they end up being two?
There's a set of board earlier appointed by Mayor Mike Rama, then was ejected but stay in office. There's another one, a new board still appointed by Mayor Mike Rama, but parang
They're on status.
they're on, but the old one, the one is the one holding office.
And then there's a national. There's a
yes.
problem with the national law, or who will govern this kind of, because
Yeah,
this is
it's really such a mess. And yes, I'm not fully aware of the local dynamics, but the reality is
Water supply.
it's not completely strange. Talaga nangyayari yan sa maraming lugar. At talagang malaking problema. That's why we need to get our act together.
yes.
As soon
Parang
as
there's a
possible.
gray area on somewhere,
But,
no?
yeah,
In the
but I think
management.
Yeah, magulo talaga.
Yeah.
Imagine there's so many.
Yeah. Oh.
Why are there so many agencies? And
I
so
think
many
that's-
agencies and no water at all. I mean, what
What are
we
they
talking
doing?
about,
Yes.
diba?
So I think the creation of a water
The Department of Water.
Department, oh.
But
Yes.
I'm Ilocana, right? So to me, a department's very costly. Maubos kasi ang budget
sa
sa sweldo.
manpower.
No, sa sweldo ng mga USEC and ASEC na naman. So,
Asik.
walang matitira.
Yes.
So, for me, umpisa muna tayo with a single agency and consolidate. Because my dad used to do the same thing.
Yeah, consolidate.
Yeah.
You can't have a department overnight. You need trained personnel,
Personnel,
which
for sure.
takes quite a while also to gear up, di ba? Kasi mahirap talaga. Pero mahal ang department, ang dami-daming USEC. Ilan ba yung USEC? I don't know, what's the minimum? 3 or 5? Basta.
I wonder why si Senator keeps saying I'm an Ilocana.
No, I don't keep saying. First time I said
No, ayun pala, because I remember si Governor Manotok, sabi niya pala, kasi I'm an Ilocano, kuripot ako.
I said the same thing.
Oh.
Kuripot ako. That's why he's very dun sa
I remember
project.
my dad. Yeah, my dad, it used to be Office of Budget Management. And then it was just an office. It was literally a desk and a couple of employees. And then later on, they said, no, we better make it. And then I think it became a Bureau of Budget Management. Then it became a Commission of Budget. Basta
Hanggang
matagal
naging
yung proseso hanggang naging department.
Yes.
Because nga, it costs so much, you have to train up personnel, and you have to make sure that it's warranted, it's justified. If it's not justified, ba't mo naman gagawing department? Ang mahal-mahal niyan, gagawan mo pa ng opisina, magpapadala ka, magpapaaral ka ng mga specialists, and so on. Otherwise, it's not entirely justified.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's the Ilocano, but I think Cebuanos are the
Yeah.
same.
Also like that.
Yeah.
Very prudent and circumspect with spending. Kasi Hindi naman pwedeng iwaldas yung public
Yes,
funds.
it's true.
I believe the Department of Water
What was
would-
he talking about, actually?
No, very yung campaign, gusto nga
Promotion. It's
after nga nung the interview, gusto namin, okay, punta tayong Ilocos.
No, but what was he talking about being so stingy?
No, dun sa the how he dun sa promotions na dapat parang value for money talaga
But
everything.
sulit. Yeah, super sulit
Yeah.
factor. Yeah, he's like super
So
sulit.
we were
It's mura lang.
surprised. We were surprised at his age na parang di ba, ang mga age na ganito is
No, he's
talaga
very, very stingy. I don't know. He's much worse than I am. At least my Bisaya kicks in. I want to have a good time like my mom. I'm waray-waray. So, at a certain point, enough is enough.
Yeah, I'd like to
But
say,
yeah, we now have flights between Cebu and Ilocos
Ilocos
Norte.
Norte.
It's not been promoted as well as we'd like, and we'd like to push for people to come over to Ilocos. It's fun for a lot of the Cebuanos who come to Ilocos. They enjoy themselves because it's very very different. A lot of them say na parang wala ka sa Pilipinas.
It's true.
Because it looks so different.
when
We have windmills
Yeah.
and sand dunes,
Sand dunes.
and weird things. So.
during the interview, parang nagtutour na kami. So, dun sa mga descriptions niya, sabi ko, oh, yung sun, parang tayo nasa Dubai. So, Dubai and the Philippines.
Right.
So, yung
and then
mga,
you're Amsterdam with all the windmills.
Yes.
But, it's fun to go. I think it's totally different. It's hot also, like Cebu, but it's drier and the wind's strong. So we have windmills. But invite everyone to come to Ilocos. I'm going to try and push it. I just started the TV show yesterday. So I'd like to mention that also on 1PH on Saturdays. We launched yesterday the first ATM ang tawag. So at the moment, with Imee.
nice.
So it's ATM and it's aksyon, tulong, and mission. So there are a lot of people who ask for help. Parang damayan pero kalokohan din. Because people come and ask for help all the time.
Yes.
And then sometimes it's not even financial. They just want to sort out who they can ask help from and so on and so forth. I have, for example, a project called the Heart Warriors. My mother set up the Philippine Heart Center.
Yes.
Yeah, so I am able to send patients, children, babies sometimes with heart problems, with missing heart issues, with hole in the heart, and they go for open heart surgery, which is very risky and very expensive. So we've been able to help over 2,000. It's my secret advocacy. It stems from the fact that I had two sons who were born with a hole in the heart. We were lucky enough that nagsara nadaan sa dasal nagsara naturally. So I was very grateful. But many of the mothers that I used to go to the clinic with had to undergo all kinds of surgeries before their sons could grow up, their kids could become healthy, and many of them couldn't afford it. It's hugely expensive. So tulong-tulong.
Yeah, it's true. Even here's a program, we also have a lot who came to us for help. So what we do is we just set
reach
it out to the public asking for help.
That's
because there are also,
in my case, I'm a little bit luckier. I can ask for help with many people and just point to the right government agency. Tulungan naman.
Same
Bigyan
also
ng
this
priority.
program. We also direct them to
Yeah,
the
that's
agencies. So this is just it's a platform that would give them another to where to go.
Yeah. Life is tough. I mean, we really haven't recovered from the pandemic yet. Hindi pa bumabangon ang ekonomiya, marami pa rin kulang sa trabaho, and in many cases, the work that you can get is not very well paying or reliable. So everybody needs a helping hand. So I'm the head of the Social Justice DSWD committee in the Senate. We're always worried on one hand about giving help. No, we all want to help, but at the same time, we're very mindful of the fact that it shouldn't be politicized because we don't want to develop a mendicant mentality na parati na lang ayuda na lang
Dole
ayuda
out.
sa lahat. Yeah,
No,
constant
dole out.
Yes.
And this isn't what we want to encourage, but we're also mindful of the fact that the cost of living has surged so much. And, well, inflation's back again with February. So, kahit pa paano, kailangan talaga ng ayuda. Wala kang magawa for the farmers, for example. Talagang
Okay.
hopeless case ang
Good luck.
agriculture. Talagang
El
hindi
Nino.
naman hopeless. I refuse to say it's hopeless. Mali naman yun. I mean,
A
you
lot of
really have
challenges
to
lang
help.
talaga,
You really
yes.
have to help them. They're going through such a bad
What
patch.
yeah. Anyway, Dong, I have a lot of questions but we're running out of time.
Ganon, how long na? 1 hour na ba tayo?
Hindi pa 1
naman.
hour.
Wala pa
But
naman 1 hour.
Oo.
Asa na ba
But
tayo?
it's okay. I think
So-
we've already exhausted most of the questions.
No, I don't think, parang we haven't gone anywhere near the questions. Oo.
Yes.
Namin pa ito. Actually, we haven't dealt, well, what are the
With
No,
the-
na-carry na to,
Wala pa.
Yeah,
About local businesses, about economic policy. Ang dami, wrote notes eh.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question about regarding the West Philippine Sea. No, what's the, we're
You're in foreign affairs.
naipit tayo sa
I'm the
dalawang
chairman of
Yeah.
the foreign relations,
Yeah, so
which is
give us
become
update.
very
ano.
tricky. Well, I've always maintained the stand that we should have an independent foreign policy. We shouldn't get carried away or be compelled to choose between two superpowers.
Yes.
The Chinese perceive us as having become too affiliated with the
With
United
American
States,
States.
and setting up 17 EDCA sites. Well, supposed to be 9, but there are those who claim they're actually 17.
Yes.
Makes us an American ally versus the Chinese. Of course, we've been allies with the United States for a long time. They've helped us develop our military. But hindi naman natin kaaway ang inche.
Yeah, we want to
Kahit
be friends.
nakakapikon sila, kahit nakakainis at inaapi yung ating mga mangingisda, ang problema, ayaw naman natin maggera at hindi naman natin kaya. So one is that we maintain this independent stance and remain neutral. That's not side too much with either party because the other side isn't really our enemy, and at the same time we're a sovereign state that shouldn't be subjected by either superpower. Ikalawa, we should also focus once again on a self-reliant defense posture. We shouldn't count on our allies, as many friends as we have. At the end of the day, to be Filipinos who have to defend Filipinos.
Yeah, of course.
Hindi
No.
naman pwede. So
tayo.
during my dad's time, there was a very aggressive SRDP, the Self-Reliant Defense Program. And that's important kasi dapat buhayin natin ulit yan. We have no defense manufacturing. We have
Yes.
very little defense manufacturing. We're importing even very basic machine guns. And
In Cebu, meron kami. Yung
Paltik forever. Well, haven't said that
forever.
But they've become more and more
Yes,
sophisticated. Kaya nga, we should encourage even the Paltik to level up because
yes.
they can
make it
very
legit.
good rifles, very good pistols, and we don't need to import. Kaya lang, our laws and some of our procurement practices have made it very difficult to develop. Parang may preference pa rin tayo bumili sa abroad kahit meron dito. Before,
Totoo yan.
during the 70s, during my dad's time, we were already producing a lot of bullets. We were producing even the bong-bong missiles.
Wow.
We had missiles, and we actually had the mini cruiser, which we ended up, a lot of the little jeeps and vehicles, patrol vehicles were being produced in the Philippines. And we actually ended up exporting them to the Middle
Middle
East. At that point, our defense industry was actually alive and well. Pagkatapos, we even had boats. I remember cigarette boats, patrol boats, all kinds of boats we were making and ended up exporting elsewhere. And ngayon, nawala na yun because the AFP, due to many limitations, has had to buy from overseas, and the lack of government contracts has closed down many of our defense contractors. Sayang. Sayang talaga.
Sayang. So, dapat
I think
tayong original, di ba? So,
Yeah,
we...
You're seeking re-election.
Yeah, I'm ending my first term.
Oo.
And so in May 2025, I'm looking for re-election because there's so many other things that I'd like to finish.
That's it.
For example, the most important thing that I got done was the waiving of all the utang of the ating land reform beneficiaries. At least magkakatitulo na sila kasi yung utang nila waive na. At ang tagal na niyan, it's 50 years. A lot of them, mga lolo, mga apo na yung mga...
Patay ng iba.
Maraming patay. Kasi mga apo na lang ang humahawak ng lupa. And we know that's only the first step. Hindi naman pwedeng, ayan, basta wala ka ng utang, may titulo ka na, nakaprenda na yan. Hindi pa nga nakukuha
the titulo is not with you, pero wala na may
So,
attachment na.
In short, what it means is that's only the first step. Ang next step, you really need rural development, maquinaria, binhi, abono, all that stuff to make that useful. At the same time, there are many new strategies to have block farming or bigger commercial lots. Kasi lite, yung 5 hectares, 7 hectares, it's too small particularly under carp and e-carp. Under my dad kasi, land reform only covered rice and corn. Pero here in the Visayas, it was expanded later on to cover sugar, coconut, rubber, banana, and then it became economically non-feasible. Kasi those are commercial crops. You cannot grow them on a small
scale.
farm.
Not economic viable. It's true.
Not
It's true.
viable. So
Critical din ang...
those are the things that I would like to push forward with.
Yes.
In the
Rural
20th
development.
Yes.
There's really very, very little private investment in the countryside. All the private investment goes to the urban areas, and the rural areas look pretty much the same as when we were little. You come from Mindanao.
Yes.
There are tracts and tracts of land that never change.
Yes, correct.
Kawawa nga
Yeah.
They're
I-
ganun pa rin itsura
And most of the people will go to Manila or to the city
Cebu.
center,
So
Cebu.
nagiging
and
congested
then congested
tuloy.
too. But there are a lot of...
because there's no
Yeah.
jobs,
Yeah.
there's no future, so
Yeah,
you can
and then
hardly blame
agriculture,
them.
so
or
there's no-
worse, they'll go backdoor overseas and get exploited somewhere.
So,
Yes, true. That's true.
Malaking problema
Especially
na.
in Mindanao,
Mindanao.
close to Sabah,
Wow.
close to
Yeah, it's always a
Malaysia.
backdoor
Yeah.
for illegal OFW. Kawawa naman.
Yes.
And then walang papeles, underage,
Age.
they have no idea what their
Yeah.
rights are. And they're undocumented, so the Philippine consulate can't even help them. Labo ang hirap.
That's
yan.
true.
Yeah, true.
When in fact Mindanao, to my mind, is the future of the Philippines because
Oh.
all the good land is there. They don't have typhoons, and there's
Resources.
really a lot of opportunity.
Fertile soil.
Yeah, but the problem is there's such a grave lack of infrastructure, training, and capital.
Yeah, there are also areas in Mindanao that there's a challenge in security. In,
Yes, peace and order.
peace and
Although,
order.
having said that, it's improved so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
I know.
there are very few now where there's any grave threat. A lot of the areas are really investment grade already, and we're seeing a lot of that. So hopefully this historic injustice will finally be righted. All the money usually goes to Luzon, and in many cases, a few places in the Visayas, but Mindanao was left out of the list. So kawawa naman.
Yes.
And kawawa rin tayo pag hindi tayo nag-invest doon kasi yun ang may potential.
Yeah, tsaka vast
Yes.
yung
Potential for especially tourism, not just agriculture, but tourism. Mindanao, there's a lot of place to be developed, so untouched.
Yeah, it's a very, very promising area.
Okay.
And I think there are a lot of things that can be exploited. Sayang Marawi, I used to think it was really
Yes,
a gorgeous city before the Marawi speech. Gandang-ganda ako, parang wala
Yeah.
ka sa Pilipinas eh.
Nag-aaral ako sa MSU main
nag-MSU
campus.
Marawi.
Scholar doon.
I always thought that that city was really beautiful. It
Yes.
seemed like you were in another world.
Yeah, it's a rolling...
It's like Aladdin.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was little, I
it's a
thought-
rolling hills.
and then the lake, and then
the
town
setting
was
is
all
really
around.
very
beautiful.
scenic.
Yeah.
Parang
It's
it
like
is
a storybook.
It's
It's like
the
a fairy
perfect,
tale.
photo
You know what?
perfect.
Kawawa eh, sayang.
Si Senator is, anak niya talaga si Governor Manoto. Kasi pag nag-describe siya ng place, gusto mong pumunta din dun.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marawi was really nice. So
Oo.
I'm hopeful that it will see better days
Yes,
very
yes,
soon.
hopefully.
Ground Zero is still unoccupied. We need to push for that.
But I asked this probably my last two questions for you.
Sure.
I know that you are a founding
Kabataang Barangay,
So,
that's right.
what is your view? What is your advice to the
Sangguniang kabataan
SK,
today.
which is haunted with a lot of issues,
Controversies.
controversies. So,
Yeah. Sadly, the potency of the youth group has been recognized by even politicians. So parang na-politicize masyado, naubos na sa
Yeah,
politika,
oo.
nakaka-nervous, may bayaran
Yeah.
na ng lahat ng FK.
Correct.
And where are they getting all
I was
these funds?
absolutely
we're
shocked.
supposed to be trained.
Well, the problem is, of course, that they get 10% of the budgets on the local
that's
government
it.
levels. So, sabi nila, it became a breeding ground for corruption. Kasi
Parang training
17
ground
years,
siya.
15 years old pa lang, kontratista na. At saka, ayan, naglalako na ng kontrata. Ang sagwa, it became nasty. So, I hope we can find safeguards to avoid the same, and that in the future, perhaps the SK can focus on really troubling issues for those their age. For example, tigilan na muna yung mga liga ng barangay at saka yung Miss SK. I mean, hindi naman sinasabi na tigilan totally, pero that shouldn't be the whole
Parang main
reason
project
for your
nila, yes.
existence.
Correct.
More importantly, siguro, we should deal with the issues of the youth. Nung time ko, may out-of-school youth. Yun ang big deal sa amin noon, the out-of-school. Well, given that school has become publicly funded in many cases, kahit kulang pa rin, I think we should deal with the issues like I mentioned earlier, yata, teenage pregnancy.
Yes,
I
it's
don't know if I
true.
mentioned it.
Yes.
Like
You
they're
mentioned it.
saying 1 out of 10 teenagers is pregnant or is about to be pregnant or just gave birth. So that's really dismal. And I recall that as a teenager, di ka naman nakikinig sa parents o sa teacher. Sasabihin mo yan sa teens. So I think peer counseling is one of the things that SK needs to embark upon. In addition, mental health has become a burning issue as well. Kasi mental health has become a very well-recognized problem mula nung pandemic, di ba?
Yes.
Nakita natin mental health, cyberbullying,
Yes.
all the digital issues, all the travails of the computer age. I think these are the problems that now confront our youth. There are different challenges today. The SK
Yes,
from the
yeah.
KB.
Yes.
A lot of our friends, for example, came from the underground movement. A lot of insurgents. That's not such a big problem now, but they're confronted with far more complicated issues like cyberbullying,
Yes, that's
mental
true.
health, teenage suicide,
Suicide.
which has become
Become-
unfortunately more common than we
Than we
like to
like to
believe, and so on. But sana ito yung i-head on nila. Huwag na
Yes,
munang
yung-
picture taking ng mga coastal clean up, teenage,
So, liga ng barangay
tree
talaga.
planting.
Liga ng
Parang-
barangay.
Pag wala na akong maisip, magpapatree planting na lang kami sa probinsya. Pero hindi tama yun.
Yes.
Dapat yung priority sa bata din.
Yes.
You take care of your
It's
constituency.
true.
Kasi
Yung
that's
needs
what you're
ng youth
there for.
talaga, oo.
You're supposed to represent them on the council. You're supposed to represent them in the provincial
Provincial
board. So it's important that you carry with you the knowledge and experience of your own constituency, and that's the youth. And there's so many problems. There are no jobs. For example, for those who graduate, there are no matching jobs. Diba? We have a big
Yes,
job
job mismatch.
mismatch. And we also have lots of challenges with capital, land, and so on. In fact, I have a Young Farmers Challenge Fund, which I push because a lot of the farms are now being abandoned because our farmers are average age yata is 57. So that's a big problem. The young people have fled the farms. Sino magtatanim?
Food
Wala nang
security.
aanim pag walang
Yes,
tinatanim. So we need to go get the kids back there, and we are providing capital for them. The other one is the Young Creatives Challenge, and this Young Creatives Challenge is to do with music, film, theater,
Oh, that's
design.
nice.
And they're quite large. Some of the amounts are big. The one for the young farmers, individuals, 50,000. Grant yan, outright. 100,000 for a team. Yung sa young creatives, up to 300,000, up to 1 million yan. Even digital content. All of that should help our young people get a leg up. So, mahilig naman yung ating mga baget sa IT. A lot of them are really
content
good
creators. Yes.
code jockeys, can create games. A lot of them are some kind of content creators. So, let's push for that and fund them adequately. So, yun nga, there are a lot of opportunities online, even internet businesses. And for the kids who are unable to get a job in an office in a traditional way, yung mga racket-racket online, talagang okay yan. At saka yung mga gig workers, talagang may mahahanap kang trabaho online. And we should encourage them. So SK should also look towards that as another alternative in the world of work.
Yeah, in the world of work. So that's it. Senator, thank you for
a long interview, talking and talking.
Yes, but we love your inputs, the mga balita talaga from you, straight from the horse's
Maybe
mouth.
next time we'll visit here with more questions.
Yeah, well, there's a lot.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We basically almost covered some of it. Anyway, so that's it, Dong. We don't have much time, so we'd like to thank Senator Imee Marcos for dropping by our studio. Wish you good luck on the 2025 elections.
Thank you very much. I hope to. I'm sure I'm going to be in Cebu.
Yes.
Before then, but yes, I enjoy coming here. I still have relatives. We only come from the next island. Leyte is also my home province, and my Waray is still functional. Even if the Bisaya is going, I understand everything, but I forget the words. I mix them up with Waray.
Okay.
But if you were not able to see or you're late, no?
You can for those who wala nakasugod sa atong episode karon, you can still watch this. Just visit the Facebook pages of Sunstar Cebu, Super Balita, and Sunstar Philippines. So that's it, though.
Thank you. My final plug. Basta watch my TV show on 1PH on Saturdays at 2 o'clock. It's only half an hour, but it's fun. And at the same time, you'll get a lot of news and a lot of views on legal, political, and economic development.
That's it.
At higit sa lahat, pwedeng humingi ng ATM, Aksyon, Tulong, Misyon.
Gusto ko yan.
Okay, so salamat sa pag-uban kanamo. Sobra na sa oras siguro sa programa. Of course, atong Senator. Ako si Donong Moralio. Maayong hapon kaninyong tanan.
Maayong hapon, ako si Mildred Galarpe.